This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Haba. We're continuing Mishna Berura Daf Hashavua. We're learning Siman, Kuf, Chaf, Ches, Seif, Chaf, Hey. Beis HaKnesset Shekula Kohanim. You're in Jerba, you're in Debdo. You know, there are these cities in North Africa. They were all Kohanim. So you have a shul of all Kohanim, the Kohen shul. Emein sham ela asara. Let's say you only have a minyan. Kulam olam laduchen. They all go up. Lemi mevarchen. Who are they mevarech? La'acheim shebasadais. They're brothers in the fields. Umi oina achareim amen. Who answers amen? Hanoshim v'hataf. The women and the children. Interesting formulated mechaber where he asks questions. Usually the mechaber is not like a toisvis, you know, vim taimar. But here the mechaber says the halacha, they're all duchen. Who do they make a bracha? Who are they mevarich? They're brothers in the fields. Who answers amen? The women and the children. Vim yesham yoser me'asara. If there are more than 10, then hayiserim me'asara yalu vivarchu. Let's say numbers 11 and 12, they go up to Duchen, and then you have 10 people answering Amen. So it's an amazing thing. You have 10 Kohanim, and they're the only men in the shul. They all Duchen. You have 11 Kohanim, 1 Duchens, and they're Mavarich, the other 10. Why can't you have 10 Mavarich, 1? Let's see. Now, this halacha, basically, Kohanim, all you have is asara. It doesn't mean asara. They're really 11. That means besides the shel tzibur, hainu levad mishel tzibur sha'af hu kohen. Sha'af shehu kohen, even though he's a kohen, harei kaimelon le'el b'sivchaf. We paskined earlier in sivchaf the shel tzibur kohen v'yesham kohanim acherim. If the shel tzibur is a kohen and there are other kohanim, lo yisas kapav, he's not going to duchen. Avshu muftach lachzol l'tfilasa, even though he is confident he could go back to the tefillah. Elo yiyahu hamakre, k'mash shekasav le'obas of kan peizayin dim ein yisrael lahakrois. If there's no yisrael to be makri, yachol kohen lahakrois. So what's interesting is the shatz is also a kohen. So why is he not duchening? Because he needs to be makre. So what's the mechaber's question? Who are they mavarich? The mavarich the shots. Maybe they're mavarich the shots. Nah. Koyans don't get brachas from kohanim. They're not, that's not what it's for. Brachas kohanim is not for kohanim. But now the Mishra has a simple question. What do you mean who they're mavarich? Who's answering amen? The women and the children. So maybe they're mavarich, the women and the children. No, says the Mishna Berura. V'loi kamer l'nashim v'taf. Why? D'loi chashivi lebracha l'chudayu. They are not chashuv that the bracha should only be going on them. Aval gam him b'chal bracha. They do get the bracha, but that's not a sufficient answer. We cannot answer that the bracha is going on them because loi chashivi lebracha l'chudayu. Why? Which achroinim? Now the Mishna Berura doesn't want to say which achroinim said the women and children are not chashuv. He just left it as the achroinim, you know. But so they answer amen, but enam aloy chashuv bracha lochudav. Simkan tzadik tes hanoshim atavrot solemer im yesh nam sham, if they're there. What if no one's there? Im enam sham gam kein noisin kapeim. They also Contrary to what many people think, someone answering your amen to your bracha is not ma'akev saying a bracha. You do not have to wake somebody up because you want to eat a piece of candy and you heard in a shiur that someone has to answer amen to your bracha. No, don't bother me because you heard in a shiur that someone has to answer amen to bracha. Answering amen is not ma'akev. If I'm in the middle of something, do not disturb somebody else. You have a guy, he's doing his business, somebody comes running to say, could you answer amen? Who said you should bother somebody to answer amen? Maybe you should just make the bracha itself. Answering Amen is not ma'akev, doing your bracha. Yeah? What do they teach in the Sems in Eretz Yisrael about this Inyan?
They teach the Mishna what the options.
Good. What the options are, what maybe some others are teaching. Fine. Sivkatan Kuf. Yoiser me'asara. V'im yesham yoiser me'asara. Hatam dekivan sheyesh asar gedolim shichal anis amen ala bracha. Mutav shiskaimu shneim. V'yu miktsas an oilam v'asaro yanu amen. Meaning, as long as you have more than 10, it's better that the more than 10 should answer amen to the bracha. In other words, if you have 11 people, you're better off having one guy duchen and 10 people answering amen, even better than 10 people duchening and one person answering amen. Once you have asara gedolim, that is the primary consideration, which is very interesting, that the primary consideration is you want to try to have 10 people answering amen to Birchas Kohanim. Okay, we'll do one more, that one person will duchen and 10 will answer amen. Va'asara oinen. Da'afagav dekamlan le'el b'sif aleph denasias kapayim ba'asara. Even though, why do you need to have 10 people answering amen? We know that duchening requires 10 people. Va'kohanim in a minyan. The kohanim are part of the minyan. So if they're part of the minyan, we don't have to have them actually answer amen. V'nimtza she'en kan asara oinim. Like this. If let's say you have 10 people exactly and one kohen duchening, that means you only have 9 people answering amen. And yet it's still good. So why, when we have 11 kohanim, do we prefer 10 kohanim to answer amen? Why is this consideration so important to have 10 people answering amen? Says the Berura, there, Shani Hasan, the kivan the ikar berachas kohanim al Yisrael nemra. There, the ikar berachas kohanim was said on Yisrael. Chashivi afilu b'pachas me'asara. Okay, well, let's clarify this question. The question is, if you have exactly 10 people, then one kohen duchens and 9 Yisraelim answer amen. Apparently, you do not need 10 people answering amen. So if you don't need 10 people answering amen, then why, when you have 11 kohanim, can't you just have 10 kohanim duchen and one kohen answer amen? So maybe you could answer, before we see the Chafetz Chaim's answer, that it's always preferable to have 10 people answering amen. The problem is, when you have a minyan mitzumtzum, you can't do it. But here you could do it. So I'm not sure exactly what the question is. Why, in that case, when you have exactly 10 people, it's okay to have 9 Yisraelim answer amen? Because what's the alternative? There's no other option. You can't have 10 people answering amen. In this case, you could have 10 people answering amen. The Mishnah doesn't like my answer. Mishnah gives a different answer. The Mishnah says, Shani Hasam, the Kivan the Ikar Berachas Kohanim al Yisrael Nemra. There it's different. Because since the Ikar Berachas Kohanim was said on Yisrael, Yisraelim are chashuv afilu b'pachas me'asara. Va'afilu yesham rak Yisrael echad. Even if you have one Yisrael, kulam like this. The reason why the Mishnah doesn't like my answer is because halacha l'maisa. Let's say you have 10 kohanim and 1 Yisrael. That is chashuv. Even if there's just 1 Yisrael, the kohanim could bless 1 Yisrael. Kulam oilam l'duchen, they'll all go up to the duchen. Umavarchen l'Yisrael zeh. However, that's when the berachas kohanim could be effective for a Yisrael. Masha'ein kein benidan didan. But in our case, shekulam kohanim, where they're all kohanim, it's not chashuv to be mavarich them. Elam ken yesh asara sheyikablu habracha v'yanu amen. Unless you're going to have 10 people who are going to receive the bracha and answer amen. So in other words, if you have a minyan mitzumtzum and 1 kohen, the kohen could be mavarech the 9 Yisraelim, and that's fine. That's fine. But if you have exactly 11 kohanim, it's not fine to have 10 kohanim duchen and 1 kohen answer. Why is that not fine? because it's not a high value to be mavarich kohanim, because Berachas Kohanim was not niskan for kohanim. So in that situation, we prefer to have 10 people responding amen. Then we could get away with the fact that we're not being mavarich Yisraelim, that we're being mavarich kohanim. Okay, we'll hold it over here. We'll pick it up as Hashem Monday on with Sif Chaf Vav. By the way, since we learn Sefer Chavetz Chaim, the Mishnah Berura every day, I want to tell you that Be'ez Hashem, in 2 weeks, we have the zchus to be going to the kever of the Chavetz Chaim in Radin. We're going to be going to Vilna and Volozhin. So just letting the Mishnah Berura Chevra know about this. If you want to visit the Chavetz Chaim personally, now's your chance. The trip is May 8th to the 12th. We're going to Radin, Vilna, Volozhin. Have a good day, everyone. Shkayach, Kol Tov. Be well.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.